After months of deceit and deception,
Yes!
the pathetic spectacle of a man who's run out of rope.
Go on, Kia!
His defence, that he didn't realise he was at a party.
Oh!
It is so ridiculous that it's actually offensive to the British public.
Yes, Kia, finally getting his bollocks out.
I thought it was a work event, and Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, it's up to the right honourable gentleman to choose how he conducts himself in this place. He's wrong.
Prime Minister had party in that same garden the very day her dad's death certificate was signed.
Oh! He misspoke!
Remove this unfit Prime Minister from office and do it now.
Yes!
We know we're going to stop PMQs, but before we do, I want to remind everybody the Prime Minister's question.
Please join us from 6 p.m. and bring your own booze.
Bring your own booze! Oh no! You love to see it, baby. Let's go! Yes,
Sitting
it
in
is!
the number 10 garden with wine and cheese.
It is with wine and cheese as well. Oh my God, let them eat wine and cheese. Good Lord. Okay, so let me just clarify a bit of background here, okay? So in the UK, as a result of coronavirus, okay, we have had numerous lockdowns over the past couple of years, okay? So since 2019? No, since 2020, sorry. 2019 was when it kind of started towards the end. 2020 is when we started to realise the scope of some of this stuff. No, wait, it is 2 years. It is 2 years. It is 2 years. Anyway, so, sorry, enough about the years. There's been like a number of different lockdowns at different times as we've tried to grapple with and get under control, obviously, coronavirus, right? Now, the Tories... I've got a video about this on my channel. There was reporting that came out very early on in I think it was April 2020, and it showed that the Tories, particularly Boris Johnson, in fact, it's probably better to say Boris Johnson, hadn't seemingly taken it particularly seriously and had actually missed like what's called Cobra meetings, which are like high-level government meetings, which were, apparently he missed like 5 of them. And part of that was planning and figuring out what the situation is in regards to coronavirus and what they're going to do. So he was criticised heavily for that at the time. Anyway, since then, he's kind of like, I don't know, he's been a mixed bag when it comes to dealing with coronavirus. But certainly up until kind of mid to late last year, he's had kind of quite high approval ratings. He's been considered to being a good prime minister, all this stuff, right? In any case, there's been a scandal. Some scandal has occurred, okay? So the first scandal was in regards to allegations about the Tories holding parties at a time when it was like literally against the lockdown rules, against the law to hold parties, right? And now we've taken it a step further. So this is a bit of a deep dive. We're going to get into it, okay? We're going to go over it all. We're going to watch the Prime Minister's questions. It's going to be good. So email proves Downing Street staff held drinks party at the height of lockdown. Okay, so this is the OG ITV broke this story. Okay, so let's find out what the deal is. All right. So let's watch this video
May
first.
2020, and despite high temperatures, we were enduring the lows of lockdown.
It depends on all of us, the entire country, to follow the advice.
There will be penalties for those who break these mandatory measures.
But while we were told to meet in twos, in Downing Street,
we're going to watch it.
They met in their tens, despite what ministers were telling us.
You can meet one person outside your household in an outdoor public place.
Yet just a few hours before that press conference, the Prime Minister's principal private secretary, one of his most senior civil servants, sent a very different message to over 100 Downing Street staff.
Oh no!
In his email, Martin Reynolds wrote, "Hi all, after what has been an incredibly busy period, we thought it would be nice to make the most of this lovely weather and have some socially distanced drinks in the number 10 garden this evening. Please join us from 6 p.m. and bring your own booze."
Bring your own booze! Oh no! Do you know what all that means? Bring your own booze is a UK term for alcohol. It just means bring a bottle of drink, Okay, it just means like bring a wine or beer, whatever you want to drink. Okay, bring your own bottle. Yeah, you call it bring your own bottle over there, right? Oh dear. Yikes! This is not good. This is not good at all. So obviously, there's like a couple of problems with this. The primary one being, it's the idea that the politicians telling us what's what. It's like it's like Animal Farm, and we're the other animals looking in at all the piggies partying. Okay, I've just did a George Orwell reference. Okay, we're the piggies on the piggies are on their trotters having a little party with each other and the humans, and we're the animals peering in from the outside in the cold, like, what's going on in there from lockdown houses and that.
We're told 30 to 40 people did, including the Prime Minister and his wife.
Oh,
Many
no.
people that see the evidence now will not only think that Boris Johnson's lies are catching up with him, but will see it as absolutely despicable when they were actually told to follow the rules. Boris Johnson and Number 10 were breaking the rules.
At the time of the Downing Street drinks, you could only meet one person outside of your household outdoors in a public...
How the hell can you be a socialist if you've read Orwell? Orwell was a socialist himself. What do you mean?
Place. Large gatherings were illegal. Weddings
Ooh.
were banned, and funerals could only be attended by those in the same household or close family.
I tell you what, that is going to be the real kicker, I think, for people. I think this is going to be the real kicker, is the fact that whilst, we were told no funerals, like someone died, you're only allowed close family at the funeral or same household, right? That's what they were told. People will have observed that, and then they'll find out about this. It's like a red rag to a bull. It's like a red rag to a bull. I just don't think that the British public, well, they've not, spoiler alert, but Boris Johnson has tumbled in the polls recently over all of this stuff because people are not fucking happy about this. People are pissed off, rightly so. They were told you can't have these gatherings, you can't do this, you can't do that, and they were fucking up with their trotters up, having boozy garden parties, enjoying the weather. It's a classic case. One thing that pisses the public off more than any other political scandal is one rule for us, another rule for them. That pisses people off. They don't like the inconsistency. They hate that shit. Yeah? Think about political scandals where it's a politicians doing things they've told the public they're not allowed to do. People fucking hate that shit. It's sleaze. They hate the sleaze. So this could actually spell the end for Boris Johnson, potentially. This could be a big, big problem for Boris Johnson. It could be that he has to resign, possibly. I don't know, but it depends on what's going to happen from here on out. But this is a massive scandal. Yeah, it's like a Gavin Newsom, right? That's true as well. They'll be like, Queenie, yeah, oh my God, the monarchists, Queenie had to go to Prince Philip's funeral by herself. They're going to lose their mind at that. They're going to be fuming. Number 10 apologised to Queenie. No way. That's crazy. But yeah, this is the other thing as well. Tories have got a reputation for being very sleazy because they present themselves as the party of the rules, the party of law and order, the party of individual responsibility broadly, and then they do stuff like this, and it totally undermines the entire logic of the party, So yeah, that's the mistake. Never apologise. I mean, they've kind of got her in this case. They've really fucking fucked up here.
Family members.
Did you and Carrie attend the Downing Street party that was organised by Martin Reynolds on the 20th of May?
All of that, as you know, is the subject of a proper investigation by Sue Gray.
So have you already been interviewed by Sue Gray, and if not, do you object to her questioning you again about this?
All that is subject for an interview, for an investigation by Sue Gray.
He's referring to the senior civil servant who's also investigating multiple other gatherings, including this one 5 days earlier.
Oh, look at this. Wait, is that Boris there? Wait, is that Boris Johnson? He's there. Is that him there? Is that him? I think that's him. I think he sat there. He sat there with the wine. No way. That is him, isn't it? No way. That's unbelievable. They're sat there with their fucking trotters up, is what they are. Look at them. Like pigs in shit, the lot of them. Bin them all off. Get rid of all of them. Start again. Yeah? It's time for a dictatorship of the proletariat. You know what I'm saying?
Which shows staff, including Martin Reynolds, as well as the Prime Minister and his wife,
yes,
sitting
it is.
in the number 10 garden with wine and cheese.
It is, with wine and cheese as well. Oh my God, let them eat wine and cheese. Good Lord. Damn, he is banged to rights. He's banged to rights. There's no getting out of this. It's him. He's there. He sat there with his wine and cheese. No way. We're going to watch the... Okay, I've got a little treat of Byron in store here. We've got Prime Minister's questions from this week, which covered this stuff, okay? I've heard it's a banger. I've heard it's great content. I've seen a few clips. I haven't watched the whole thing, though. We're going to watch the entire thing. And it's going to be top drawer, okay? So do not touch that dial.
So she loved dancing. She was a very people person.
Oh, God.
As Downing Street staff got together in May 2020, Valerie and her 98-year-old mother were kept apart.
Oh, no.
Marjorie died alone in hospital.
Oh, God.
After 10 minutes, we had to go. And they rang us during the night, rang me during the night to say that she'd passed away. It was the worst passing that I could possibly have hoped for her. Just 10 minutes. That's not long enough to even drink a glass of wine, never mind about have cheese and wine party. Surely they must know how people were feeling, but to still go ahead with that, it couldn't be any worse for us. It's absolutely mind-blowing.
Today, the Prime Minister was trying to focus minds on the booster.
He's in hot water. He's just there chilling. He's hiding in there. He's hiding in there so he doesn't get bothered about all this business.
Programme. But yet again tonight, the question is whether Downing Street was immune to the rules. Paul Brand, News at 10.
Oh dear. Tory sleaze strikes again. Deary, deary me. Oops. Okay, what else have we got here? Bring your own booze. The May 20 party was alluded to in a blog by the Prime Minister former advisor Dominic Cummings on Friday. Oh, okay. This is massive as well, okay? Dominic Cummings was a senior advisor to Boris Johnson, okay? And he came out with a bunch of allegations and accusations too about like complete incompetence of the Tories in dealing with coronavirus. So yeah. He's come out with information too in the past in regards to this kind of stuff. Dom the Dodger. Damn. The inquiry should investigate this. When did this come out? January 7th, yeah. So this story came out on January 10th. And then this blog came out on January 7th. The inquiry should investigate the socially distanced drinks email sent on Wednesday the 20th of May 2020. Which I think is this one. So yeah. Damn. Yikes. Yikes. But Dominic Cummings did his own shit, but I think he's just trying to shit on the government, basically. The email follows allegations about staff gathering in a garden on a separate occasion. Oh my God. With a photograph emerging of Mr. Johnson and his wife sitting with number 10 staff, including Martin Reynolds, on the terrace with a bottle of wine and cheese. What's this?
There's a devastating simplicity to this story. So unlike the other parties where there was talk of, was it a work meeting, was there cheese and wine, whatever jokes, whatever excuses they came up with then, this one is inexcusable. This was lockdown 1.0. We all remember what was allowed because it was virtually nothing. You couldn't go to hospital to see a relative. You couldn't go round to your granny's garden for a drink, and you certainly couldn't take 100 of your colleagues with you to do that either. And yet that is exactly pretty much what happened in Number 10. This email proves it. And tonight, Number 10 isn't commenting on this story. They say they won't while there's this internal investigation. But after weeks of denials, what the Prime Minister isn't denying tonight is that this party happened and that he himself was there.
But the email from one of his most senior officials says, we were thinking, we invite you. Who's we?
Yeah, unless it's the royal we. It's really interesting that, Tom, because what is Martin Reynolds meaning by the word we? He speaks on behalf of the Prime Minister. He works very closely with the Prime Minister. Was it Boris Johnson who was in on this idea to have a drinks party? And tonight there is huge pressure on Martin Reynolds to resign. There's huge pressure on the Met Police to investigate. In the past few minutes, they've said they are in touch with the Cabinet Office about all of this. But the pressure extends, I think, to Boris Johnson in a way that it hasn't done before. Will he now give evidence to this internal inquiry? If he does, that's only where the questions begin. And for the first time, I can't see that he has any answers.
Robert, can I just throw that to you? Before Christmas, there was tremendous pressure on the Prime Minister. You sense that lifted a little bit over Christmas?
How do I get in here? How do I get into the news? How do I get in this space as me to commentate on it like this? I've got some thoughts and perspectives. Where's my platform? Well, my platform's here, right? But like, I want to be on here giving my takes. Just walk in. Call C-SPAN. I need to get noticed. I need to get noticed by these serious news orgs so I can actually get on to say my piece. Imagine me on here fucking kicking off. They're all a bunch of wankers. They'd be like, please, no swearing. It's before 9 p.m. I don't fucking care. You tell those bastards to sort that shit out. Send them my CV. Go on there and say, they're all a bunch of white N-words. Obviously saying the word. They're all a bunch of white N-words. Oh.
But here we are, arguably in the worst position for him he's been in.
So it wasn't so much the pressure lifted, it's just we had another crisis, Omicron.
Yeah.
So, look, this is a Prime Minister, a politician, who famously, mud gets thrown at him and it somehow falls off, he survives. But this does feel to me like the most serious crisis he has faced as Prime Minister. Looks to me, as Paul mentioned, that the Met Police will feel they have no option but to investigate. It's very difficult to see how this was not an illegal party. There is another issue for the Prime Minister, which is he has repeatedly told the House of Commons that there were no parties and that no COVID rules were broken in Downing Street. Now, he may say that he was referring only to the December party that Paul broke his brilliant scoop about, but actually he, on a number of occasions, seemed to be speaking more widely than that. But also,
God, that must be so cool as a journalist to like scoop a story like that. That is actually unironically like a really good story. Like, I don't know, it'd be so cool. I'd love to scoop something like that one day. Maybe, who knows? Yeah, Paul Brand. This guy here. There he is, look. Damn, what a legend. It's stuff like this that gives me the faith in the mainstream media again. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of criticism I've got, particularly of American mainstream media. It seems particularly bad. But when you have, like, a journalist break a fucking story this big, because this is big. The fact that politicians were breaking rules that they themselves had set while we were following them is massive, obviously. That's the kind of stuff that's like, that's journalism. That's the kind of journalism we need, you know? Muckracker shit. Do you know what I mean?
He was, at a party. There is no doubt about it. I mean, I have spoken to people who
is that the right word?
Were witnesses there, and they say he was there, his wife was there, she was, perhaps a trivial detail, but it just shows you, I suppose, the sort of sense to which they were observed. She was drinking gin, I'm told, for example. Now, when you have that level of corroboration, Boris Johnson can no longer rely on the form of words that he's used up to now, which is, I've been advised there were no parties. How can you be advised if you were at a party?
Yes.
Labour, I think, will put an urgent question tomorrow in the House of Commons.
Which we're going to watch.
They will demand that the Prime Minister comes and explains himself. Now, Martin Reynolds is in charge of the Downing Street building. As Paul again says, very likely that he will resign. I think if he resigns, however, it makes it harder for the Prime Minister. You know, Theresa May sees her officials misbehaving. The Minister says to me, she would say, stop. Prime Minister apparently went to a party and enjoyed it. He's in an incredibly difficult position.
He enjoyed it. He enjoyed it as well. Oh my God, this is so juicy. I'm loving this. Right, what else have we got in this article? Downing Street previously insisted the photograph showed a work meeting, but the email about the drinks party on May 20th makes it clear this was a social gathering, which is far harder to explain away. Oh no. Oh goodness me. Less than an hour before the drinks, the then Culture Secretary had reminded the rest of England that the daily press conference must only meet in pairs outdoors. Damn. Uh-oh. The latest revelations have led to fresh calls for the Prime Minister to be questioned as part of an internal inquiry into a series of parties in Downing Street, launched after ITV News aired footage of Number 10 staff laughing and joking about an event on 19th December 2020. Damn. Oh yeah, this one. Yeah.
I've just seen reports on Twitter that
she ended up losing her job.
Christmas party on Friday night. Do you recognise those reports?
I went home. Hold on.
Would the Prime Minister condone having a Christmas party?
What's the answer?
I don't know. I wasn't a party.
Right, let's go back. So basically, this was like a meeting. And it's kind of, I believe it's like one of those, it's like a meeting of insider Tory types to figure out their line of story to the press or something like that. Yeah, it was basically like figuring out when we speak to the press, what do we say? So let me turn it up a bit and go back because I missed it.
I've just seen reports on Twitter that there was a Downing Street Christmas party on Friday night. Do you recognise those reports?
I went home. Hold on.
Would the Prime Minister condone having a Christmas party?
What's the answer?
I don't know. I wasn't a party. It was cheese and wine.
Just be clear, it's not. Is cheese and wine all right? No. It was a business meeting.
I'm joking.
This is recorded. It's a fictional party. It was a business meeting. And it was not socially distanced. One more, and then ask anybody have any questions today?
Jesus. Damn, ITV going into the paint with the Tories. You love to see it. You love to see it, baby. Let's go. Get fucking dunked on, you Tory bastards. Hey.
Welcome to Chud Nation.
Nick Static.
Schadenfreude is on the menu.
Thank you very much, Nick Static. Schadenfreude. How does my TTS say it better than me? That's mental. Schadenfreude. Let's go. We love it. There's been allegations from multiple other parties. The Westminster Party is alleged to have happened during 2020 lockdown, yeah. And restrictions. Anyway, there we go. So that's the article. Damn, this is really good reporting as well. I'm really liking this article. This is good ass memes. ITV News understands the drinks party on May 20th will form part of the ongoing investigations, with the inquiry due to report back this month. When Mr. Johnson was asked on Monday if he and his wife attended the party on May 20th, he replied, "All that, as you know, is subject to proper investigation." Downing Street told ITV News they would not comment on the story due to the Sue Gray inquiry. Yeah. Yet again, it's one rule for Boris and another rule for the rest of us. This time, a massive garden party at his place while people were dying alone. Jesus. Okay. Let's get to the main event. PMQs. Let's go.
We know we're going to start PMQs, but before we do, I want to remind everybody the Prime Minister's question. I would like to point out that the British Sign Language interpretation of proceedings is available to watch on Parliament Live TV. We start with Prime Minister's questions. Dr. James Davies.
Question number one, Mr. Speaker. Well, sir.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I know that the whole House will want to join me in paying tribute to Jack Dromey. His working life was devoted to his trade union members and, in recent years, his constituents in Birmingham.
So like, imagine, oh my God, imagine being a Labour MP walking into this Prime Minister's questions. Imagine being a Labour MP, you'd be like, let's go! Do you know what I mean? Let's fucking get it. Oh God, I'd love to be a Labour MP right now, walking into that room, ready to fucking drop some bombs. I don't know, apparently fucking Keir Starmer gets a bit spicy. We'll see what he says. I'll give a fair judgment, okay? I want Keir... Apparently, no, Keir's called for his resignation. Keir Starmer's finally got his bollocks out, and he's called for a resignation, I'm fairly certain, is he not? I saw something on Twitter. Let's see what happens anyway.
Erdington. I was deeply saddened to hear of his death, and my thoughts are with Harriet and the family and all those who knew him as a friend. Mr. Speaker, I want to apologise. I know that millions of people across this country have made extraordinary sacrifices over the last 18 months. I know the anguish that they have been through, unable to mourn their relatives, unable to live their lives as they want or to do the things they love. And I know the rage they feel with me and with the government I lead when they think that in Downing Street itself, the rules are not being properly followed by the people who make the rules. And though I cannot anticipate the conclusions of the current inquiry, I have learned enough.
He was at the fucking party. You kidding me? We cannot determine the results of the inquiry about me sitting there with wine and cheese, obviously, like quite explicitly sat there. We need to wait and see what the inquiry says to determine whether I was at the party that I was pictured at, okay? What a fucking cop-out this guy is. Holy shit. Get out of it, Boris. Shut up, you wanker. You bloody wanker.
To know that there were things we simply did not get right. And I must take responsibility.
Go on, get the boots
Number 10 is a big department with the garden as an extension of the office, which has been in constant use because of the role of fresh air in stopping the virus. And when I went into that garden just after 6 on the 20th of May, 2020, to thank groups of staff before going back into my office 25 minutes later to continue working, I believed implicitly that this was a work event. But, Mr. Speaker, with hindsight,
it was a work event. Get the fuck out of here. They were all sat there with wine and cheese larking about. I was at work. Get out of here.
I should have sent everyone back inside. I should have found some other way to thank them. And I should have recognised that even if it could be said technically to fall within the guidance, there would be millions and millions of people who simply would not see it that way. People who suffered terribly. People who were forbidden from meeting loved ones at all, inside or outside. And to them and to this House, I offer my heartfelt apologies. And all I ask is that Sue Gray be allowed to complete her inquiry into that day and several others so that the full facts can be established. And I will, of course, come back to this House and make a statement. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
All of the Tories look fucking... Here we go. Go on, let's go! Unleash the Labour hounds. Let's fucking go.
Carol Ridgway faces 8 weeks of stress and worry as she waits for an urgent appointment at the local breast clinic in North Wales. Yet, despite the pandemic, 85% of patients in England wait only 2 weeks for their urgent suspected cancer referrals. What can my right honourable friend do to ensure equality of healthcare across Britain?
Healthcare, get on
healthcare. My honourable friend for his question. I'm sorry about the case that he raises. Of course, health is a devolved matter, but I thank our NHS colleagues across the whole of the UK, and I point out that the Welsh Government will benefit from an additional £3.8 billion of funding this year, plus a further £270 million to support the response to COVID, Mr. Speaker.
We now come to the Leader of the Opposition.
Oh, wait, was that the Tories? Oh, sorry, I misunderstood. Hang on a sec. Did I... Oh, sorry, I misunderstood. I thought it was a Labour MP.
Keir Starmer.
Yeah, let's go!
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I join with the comments about Jack Droney? We will, I think, be doing tributes in due course in relation to Jack. Well, there we have it. After months of deceit and deception, the pathetic spectacle of a man who's run out of road.
Go on, Keir!
His defence, that he didn't realise he was at a party. It is so ridiculous that it's actually offensive to the British public. He's finally been forced to admit what everyone knew, that when the whole country was locked down, he was hosting boozy parties in Downing Street. Yes. Is he now going to do the decent thing and resign?
Oh, yes, Keir, finally getting his fucking bollocks out. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about, Keir Starmer. Okay, I'm not the biggest fan of Keir Starmer. However, I think in this situation, I've got to recognise the Giga Chad Sigma energy of Keir in this circumstance, okay? Because he's got his balls out. He's made this is actually a really solid political play. The public are against Boris now, okay? This is fucking dynamite, okay? Going straight for his throat. Yeah. His neck's exposed. Keir's going for it. This is good. This is the kind of thing you want to see from the opposition, okay? So you've got to pay due respect here, I think, to the shit that Keir Starmer's doing right now, all right? Even if you don't like him, I think he's getting his bollocks out. And whenever I see a fella getting his bollocks out, I always give it a nod like, fair play to you, okay?
Well, Mr. Speaker, it is...
Hancock went.
I think somebody will be going for an early cup of tea as well. Can I just say, the question's been asked. I want to know the answer. Your constituents want to know the answer. I don't need any extra help either. So please, Prime Minister.
It's getting spicy.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the point that he's making about the event that I attended. I want to repeat that I thought it was a work event, and Mr. Speaker, I regret very much that we did not do things differently.
Oh, look at this!
About the event that I attended. I want to repeat that I thought it was a work event, and Mr. Speaker, I regret very much.
Hey, look at this! Damn, Keir's actually. This must be like when he was a prosecutor or whatever it was. What was he? For the Crown Prosecution Service. He's ready. He's ready to get very. He is ready to get very surgical. I feel. He's ready to get surgical with Boris's anus.
I regret very much that we did not do things differently that evening, Mr. Speaker, as I said, and I take responsibility and I apologise, Mr. Speaker. But as for his political point, I don't think that he should preempt the outcome of the inquiry, and he will have a further opportunity, Mr. Speaker, I hope, to question me as soon as possible.
Keir Starmer.
Well, that apology was pretty worthless, wasn't it? Hey! Let me tell him why this matters. Yesterday, in this chamber, honourable members told heart-wrenching stories about the sacrifices people across the country were making. This House and the whole country were moved by the honourable member for Strangford, as he talked about his mother-in-law dying alone. He was following the rules. Whilst the Prime Minister was partying in Downing Street. Yeah. Is the Prime Minister really so contemptuous of the British public that he thinks he can just ride this out?
Yeah. Oh, yes!
Mr. Speaker, I heard the testimony of the honourable member opposite, and I echo his sentiments. It was deeply moving. Nobody who heard that could fail to have been moved. And I know that people up and down the country made huge sacrifices throughout this pandemic, Mr. Speaker, and I understand the anger, the rage that they feel at the thought that people in Downing Street were not following those rules. I regret the way the event I have described was handled. I bitterly regret it and wish that we could have done things differently. And I have and will continue to apologise for what we did. But, Mr. Speaker, he must wait for the inquiry, which will report as soon as possible.
Keir Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, when the Prime Minister's former Health Secretary broke the rules, he resigned. Yes. And the Prime Minister said he was right to do so. When the Prime Minister's spokesperson laughed about the rules being broken, she resigned. And the Prime Minister accepted that resignation. Why does the Prime Minister still think that the rules don't apply to him?
He has got him back to rights. He has got him back to rights. It's true. All of these people that have been, impropriety in regards to rules have all had to resign. So it's time for you to resign, Boris. It's time for you to hand your notice in.
Well, Mr. Speaker, that's not what I've said, and I understand the point that he makes. As I've said, Mr. Speaker, I regret the way things happened on the evening in question, and I apologise. But if I may say to him, I do think it would be better if he waited until the full conclusion of the inquiry, until the full facts are brought before this House.
The copium. Oh, yeah, just wait for the inquiry to come out, please. What is the inquiry going to find? Like, I appreciate, sure, there needs to be some formal investigation. But he sat there at the party. He sat there with wine and cheese. I've been to like work events and stuff before. When it's like a work event and it's business is business, you're going around, you're talking and stuff, bang, you're back to work. Or whatever it is, right? Or, you know, if that was what his story is, he went out there to speak to people. I'm sorry, right? He said he was there for, what, 25 minutes? You don't sit there for 25 minutes with wine and cheese if you're just out there to briefly thank people. Right? I don't know, a senior civil servant. There's no way.
Mr. Speaker, and he will then have an opportunity to put his points again.
Keir Starmer.
This just isn't working, Prime Minister.
No.
Everyone could see what happened.
Exactly.
It started with reports of boozy parties in Downing Street during lockdown. The Prime Minister pretended that he had been assured there were no parties.
Yeah.
How that fits with his defence out, I do not know.
Exactly.
Then the video landed.
Keir Starmer branded absolute hypocrite for drinking with staff during lockdown. Revelation comes a day after the Labour leader accused Boris Johnson of lying through his teeth over his involvement in number 10 gatherings. So the Telegraph, in the UK, this isn't a joke, we call it the Tory graph, okay? We call it the Tory graph. So it is very biased. Now, I'm not going to defend Keir Starmer if he has been involved in hypocrisy here, okay? But what is this? Let me get the full article and I'll see if I can, you know. Let's see. This looks like cope. Listen, I've got no interest in defending Keir Starmer, okay? I'm just enjoying him roasting Boris Johnson. I've got no vested interest in defending Keir Starmer. But I can't help but feel this is copium. I just can't help but feel that this is copium. A senior Tory pointed out that Keir had himself been photographed drinking with a number of party staff in a constituent office in Durham last May. This is just cope, I think. This is copium. What is this the only image as well? Like I can't even see what's going on in it. Is that a bottle? Or I don't know. Is that a bottle there? Is he only got a bottle in his hand? I don't know. And listen, I'm not in it to defend fucking Keir Starmer. I just need a bit more than this. Do you see what I mean? I don't know.
Oh,
hey, Spectre, thanks for the raid. But in any case, look, if he's guilty, he's guilty. When was this? The Hartlepool by-election. Step 2 of Rome after lockdown with indoor mixing between different houses prohibited except in work scenarios. So work scenarios is okay. Right, let's read this. Labour is facing its own booze row after Conservative figures pointed Keir Starmer had been pictured drinking beer. Boris Johnson under mounting pressure. The Labour leader on Wednesday claimed the public could see his line through his teeth. Image captures the window of a building and showed Keir standing close to other people while another pair going in the background. Indoor mixing between different households, except in work situations. That's something he's doing himself as well, so he's an absolute hypocrite. Speaks of him quaffing beer, we have not heard him do so. Approach for comment. A Labour spokesman pointed back to the party's previous statement in which it insisted their rules had been broken. Keir was in the workplace meeting a local MP in a constituency office and participating in an online Labour Party event. They paused for dinner as the meeting was during the evening. It came as Wes Steering, the Shadow Health Secretary, yesterday ramped up the party's attacks on Johnson. This is very sketchy. This is super sketchy. Yeah, this is towards the end of the final lockdown. Like you've got to understand as well, Boris is meeting, no matter what it was, explicitly broke the rules. This is just clutching at straws, desperate to try and find a dunk. And it is also whataboutism. It is also whataboutism, because even if we're going to say that Keir Starmer is a hypocrite, okay, even if we're going to say that Keir Starmer's a hypocrite, even if we accept this as true, which I've got big doubts about, what I would say is that it doesn't make any difference to Keir Starmer's critiques and attacks on Boris Johnson. But this is like, this could be anything, you know? I've got no idea what this is. This is last May, so the lockdown circumstances were very different as well. And if it is a work scenario, then it's within the rules. We can't ascertain exactly what's going on there. Do you see what I mean? Anyway, in any case, you know, maybe there's something in it. Seems like cope to me. I'd need to see more evidence of what it actually was. The Boris Johnson stuff is much more explicit. What does Boris Johnson think of Mr. Gold?
Blowing the Prime Minister's first defence out of the water. So then he pretended he was sickened and furious about the parties. Now it turns out he was at the parties all along. Can't the Prime Minister see why the British public think he's lying through his teeth?
Yeah. Prime Minister, it was what the public think, not what a member is saying. That's
oh my God, look at it.
Order. And I certainly don't need any help from around here. If somebody wants to help me, they can help somewhere else. Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it's up to the right honourable gentleman to choose how he conducts himself in this place. He's wrong. He's wrong.
Wait, what happened then?
I think not what a member is saying. That's order. And I certainly don't need any help from around here. If somebody wants to help me, they can help somewhere else. Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it's up to the right honourable gentleman to choose how he conducts himself in this place. He's wrong. He's wrong. I say to him that he is wrong. He is wrong in what he said he said what he is wrong what he said is wrong in several key respects. But, Mr. Speaker, that does not detract from the basic point that I want to make today, which is that I accept that we should have done things differently on that evening. As I've said to the House, I believe that the events in question were within the guidance and were within the rules, and that was certainly the assumption on which I operated. But can I say to him, Mr. Speaker...
But the thing is, from what I can understand, I don't know how it could be. You can literally look at the picture. No? Where's the picture? Where's the picture? Anyway, yeah, like... I don't know. I'll find it, I guess. But it just seems to me like it's just obvious. Like, you look at the rules, you look at just the picture of how they were gathered together. There wasn't the social distancing. It doesn't seem like it was a work event. There was clearly wine and cheese. Like, yeah. It was in one of the videos I watched. Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
He should wait. Before he jumps to conclusions, Mr. Speaker. A lawyer should respect the inquiry. I hope that he will wait until the facts are established and brought to this House.
Keir Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, so we've got the Prime Minister attending Downing Street parties, a clear breach of the rules. We've got the Prime Minister putting forward a series of ridiculous denials which he knows are untrue.
Here we go.
A clear breach.
Let's watch this bit again. Sorry, I know we just watched it, but it gives us some insight, hopefully.
About this.
All that is subject for an interview, for an investigation by Sue Gray.
He's referring to the senior civil servant who's also investigating multiple other gatherings, including this one 5 days earlier, which shows staff, including Martin Reynolds, as well as the Prime Minister and his wife, sitting in the number 10 garden with wine and cheese.
This, I don't know, like, obviously, like... I understand there needs to be an official investigation, but I don't know how this would be within the rules. Who cares? What do you mean, who cares? If these people have implemented guidelines for the public to follow, and they've not followed them, that's a massive political scandal. What do you mean, who cares? Like, literally... This was before the vaccine. This was in 2020, at the start of the fucking... There was no vaccine. There was rules against this in place. Oh, you didn't realise you came in late? No, that's cool. Don't worry about it. It's all good.
of the ministerial code. That code says ministers who knowingly mislead Parliament will be expected to offer their resignation. The party's over, Prime Minister. The only question is, will the British public kick him out, will his party kick him out, or will he do the decent thing and resign?
Yes, Starmer!
Mr. Speaker, I just want to repeat that I think that the right honourable gentleman, I know that it is his objective and he's paid to try to remove me from office, Mr. Speaker, and I appreciate that and I accept that. But may I humbly suggest to him that he should wait until the inquiry has concluded. He should study.
Why are people acting? Do you understand political scandals, right? If they didn't follow the rules they themselves as the government put in place for the public, people weren't able to go to funerals, people dying alone in hospital. This is going, the Tory party itself might take action because it's such a big scandal and it's going to cause such a blot on the reputation of the government. This could mean that the Tories lose the next election potentially. You understand that this sort of thing stays in people's minds. And it could mean that at the ballot box, people make a different decision than they might have done, especially now Brexit's kind of done and dusted. This is massive. You need to understand the scope of this. This could have an impact on the next election, potentially. People fucking hated lockdown. And that hatred and that disgust towards this sort of behaviour is palpable. It's something that people are going to remember and they're going to hold on to. Do you see what I mean? And exactly, it's not just lefties, Labour, Liberals. It's fucking Conservatives too. They don't like this kind of shit either. Think about it, right? Who was dying most in COVID? Older people, okay? Who are older people got as their family? Probably people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever, right? Older people that vote. Basically, the age of people that vote are the kinds of people that would have been negatively impacted by things like people dying alone in hospitals, lockdowns, etc. They're the people that are going to fucking think about this when they go to vote next. Like, this is massive. This is going to potentially have a really big impact because this is something that's been going on for a little while as well. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Wait, hang on though. This is only to December. But this is this controversy's been going on for a few weeks now. There's another controversy too. I don't know if we've got any further polling from here. But this only goes to the 20th of December. When did the controversy start? Was it the 10th of December that the stuff started coming out about it? I can't remember. Oh, here we go. Oh, shit. 14th of January. Jesus Christ. Holy fuck. That is bad. So that other thing is also, yeah, so it was the 10th of December, you say? Holy shit. The Prime Minister. Oh my God, this is wild. Holy fuck. We'll see what happens. The libs are coming in with their memes. Look, there's the fucking EU flag. Fair play though. Do your best, I guess. Weak. Anyway, come on, let's get back to it.
For himself, and I will certainly respond as appropriate, and I hope that he does. But in the meantime, yes, Mr. Speaker, I certainly wish that things had happened differently on the evening of May the 20th, Mr. Speaker, and I apologise for all the misjudgments that have been made, for which I take, Mr. Speaker, full responsibility.
Keir Starmer.
Go on, Keir.
The Prime Minister's a man without shame. The public want answers to their questions.
Yeah. Yes.
Hannah Brady's father, Sean, was just 55 when he lost his life to COVID. He was a fit and healthy key worker. I spoke to Hannah last night, Prime Minister. Her father died just days before the drinks trolley was being wheeled through Downing Street. And last year, Hannah met the Prime Minister in the Downing Street garden. She looked the Prime Minister in the eye and told him of her loss. The Prime Minister told Hannah he'd done everything he could to protect her dad. Looking back, what Hannah told me last night was this. She realises that the Prime Minister had parted in that same garden the very day her dad's death certificate was signed.
No! He misspoke! No, he misspoke! He misspoke! No! As he was laying the smack down.
What Hannah wants to know is this. Does the Prime Minister understand why it makes her feel sick to think about the way that he's behaved?
Mr. Speaker, I sympathise deeply with Hannah, with people who have suffered up and down this country during the pandemic, and I repeat that I wish things had been done differently on that evening, Mr. Speaker, and I repeat my apology for all the misjudgments that may have been made, that were made on my watch in Number 10 and across the government. But I want to reassure the people of this country, including Hannah and her family, that, Mr. Speaker, we have been working to do everything we can to protect her and her family, and it is thanks to the efforts of this government that we have the most tested population in Europe, with 1.25 million tests being conducted.
Yeah, the first guy was a Conservative. I didn't realise. I was like, yeah, if I can get him. It was like, no, Chud, that's a Conservative politician. I was like, oh, okay, fair enough.
Every day, we've been working to ensure that this population, our country, has the most antivirals of any country in Europe. And, Mr. Speaker, it's because of the efforts of the government, of officials, of staff up and down Whitehall, that we've driven the fastest vaccine rollout in Europe, one of the fastest in the world. And that is the reason, Mr. Speaker, that we now have one of the most open economies, if not the most open economy in Europe, and one of the fastest growing economy, Mr. Speaker, in the G7. And, Mr. Speaker, whatever the mistakes that have been made on...
Look at his fucking... Look, his hype crew aren't doing a very good job, are they? Look at they just sat there like wet flannels. Like, what's his name? Oh, fuck, I can't remember his name. What's his name? He's losing it. He's losing it. Oh, yeah, Dominic Raab. Yeah. No, that's Dominic Raab. Boris looks tired. Hey, Dylan. Boris Johnson needs his parties. These peasants should be happy they got to see such a nice picture of his wine and cheese.
My watch, for which I apologise and which I fully acknowledge. That is the work, Mr. Speaker, that has been going on in Number 10 Downing Street.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Education is one of the biggest factors when it comes to levelling up. It's what ensures that people right across the country have access to the same opportunities, and it's a key part of my mission to transform lives in Burnley and Padiham. With that in mind, would the Prime Minister work with me to ensure that Burnley becomes the best place to study, whether you're in primary and secondary school, looking for an apprenticeship in advanced engineering, or undertaking a degree in cybersecurity?
Yes, I thank my honourable friend, and we're investing in education up and down the country, and I'm delighted that Burnley College was part of a successful proposal to become an institute of technology, and that Burnley is home to the growing University of Central Lancashire campus, making it a fantastic place to study in Lancashire.
Leader of the SNP, Ian Blackford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I add my remarks in terms of Jack Dromey, someone who was a festy fighter for workers' rights and an inspiration to so many of us across this House for the way that he conducted himself.
This dude's a fucking legend. Sorry, I was looking at my phone. I need to pay this guy due respects. He's a fucking legend.
Proposal to become an institute of technology, and that Burnley is home to the growing University of Central Lancashire campus, making it a fantastic place to study in Lancashire.
Leader of the SNP, Ian Blackford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I add my remarks in terms of Jack Dromey, someone who was a festy fighter for workers' rights and an inspiration to so many of us across this House for the way that he conducted himself. We will miss him, and condolences to Harriet and to the rest of the family. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister stands before us accused of betraying the nation's trust, of treating the public with contempt, of breaking the laws set by his own government. A former member of Her Majesty's Armed Forces, Paul, wrote to me this morning. His father died without the love and support of his full family around him because they followed the regulations, Prime Minister. Paul said, as an ex-soldier, I know how to follow the rules, But the Prime Minister has never followed any rules. He does what he wants, and he gets away with it every time. The Prime Minister can't get away with it again. Will the Prime Minister finally do the decent thing and resign? Or will his Tory MPs be forced to show him the door?
Prime Minister.
I thank the right honourable gentleman, but I want to offer my condolences to his constituents who wrote to him, and just to remind him of what I've said earlier. And with the greatest respect to him, I think that he should wait until the inquiry has concluded.
Ian Blackford.
It's an open and shut case. It's an event that should have taken place. It broke the law, Prime Minister. And what's so galling about that response is that the Prime Minister feels no shame for his actions. The public suffered pain and anguish at being kept apart from their families. All the while, the Prime Minister was drinking and laughing behind the walls of his private garden. The public overwhelmingly think that the Prime Minister should resign. Trust has been lost, and the public will not forgive or forget. If the Prime Minister has no sense of shame, then the Tory backbenchers must act to remove him. They know the damage is done. This weak and contentious Prime Minister can no longer limp on. The message from the public is clear. Remove this unfit Prime Minister from office and do it now.
Well, I just want to thank the right honourable gentleman for his political advice, which I will take with a pinch of salt since it comes from the Scottish Nationalist Party. But I think that
the audacity of this man to try and get a dunk in when he's in the docket. Unbelievable.
People looking objectively at what this government has delivered over the last 18 months would agree I renew my contrition for the mistakes that have been made, but we have delivered the fastest vaccine and the fastest booster rollout in Europe, and the result is that across our whole of our United Kingdom, Mr. Speaker, we have a record number of people back in work.
Simon Felt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On Friday, I met with the Chief Executive of my local hospital trust, the University Hospitals in Morecambe Bay, to talk about how they were managing COVID and the impact it was having on them. The impact is stark. They've got about 12 to 15% of their workforce away isolating, and 140 beds, that's about 20% of the total, blocked because they can't get people back out into social care and the community. So with that in mind, will my right honourable friend consider reducing the self-isolation period, if it's seen to be safe to do so, down to 5 days, and also accepting any MACA requests which come through to help get people back out into the community and into social care?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, well, we're certainly looking at reducing the isolation period, and hope to bring you more, Mr. Speaker, about that as fast as possible. We'll certainly look at all MACA requests, but more fundamentally, what we can do to alleviate the pressures in his hospital is to fix the health and social care divide, which is what this government is also doing after a generation of neglect.
Stephen Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today's apology is too little, too late. If the Prime Minister was sincere, he could have apologised at any stage over the past 18 months, rather than waiting until he was found out. My constituents in North Down and people across the UK feel betrayed by the Prime Minister. We've had over 150,000 deaths.
No, this is for Keir Starmer is misspeaking. No, why? Why? He's fucked it up. He's fucked it up on the death figures. He's flustered. Listen, you need someone else. He's not going to misspeak next time, okay? We're dropping the ball here on our side of it. Everybody's looking at him. Go on, mate. Push through it.
From COVID over the past couple of years.
Yes.
We have seen standards in public life trashed.
Yes.
So for once, can the Prime Minister do the honourable thing and resign for the sake of the public health message and for standards in our democracy?
Mr. Speaker, I can only repeat what I've said, and I understand the feelings he has about the effect of this pandemic on this country, and I certainly grieve for everybody who has died and who has suffered. But on his political point, can I propose that he waits for the inquiry to report?
Susan Webb.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I recently visited my local job centre and I'm absolutely pleased to announce that the adult claimant count is down 28% and the young adult claimant count is down 40%. Will the Prime Minister join me in thanking all the hard work of the Stourbridge Job Centre for their dedication to actually achieve these results and also to contribute to the jobs revival that's happening across the West Midlands. 61,000 new jobs since March 2021.
Prime Minister. Yes, indeed, Mr. Speaker, and I thank her for that. And it's notable that the opposition don't like to dwell on these points, but it is an astonishing fact that we have 420,000 more people in work now than before the pandemic began, and youth unemployment at a record low, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, another week, another scandal for this Prime Minister and his utterly shameless government. For 2 years...
Keep bringing it back to the scandal, that's what I'm talking about.
My constituents made sacrifice after sacrifice, spending time away from our loved ones, missing out on important life events. Some paid the ultimate sacrifice while he partied away. Figures released just last night show that 79% of people in Scotland think the Prime Minister should step down. Does the Prime Minister now realise that it's clear to all that, while he may not understand how to be socially distant from others, there is no doubt that he is morally distant from the rest of us across these nations, and the best thing he can do now is go. Resign, Prime Minister.
Morally distant. What a fucking sick dunk that is. What a sick dunk. That is a sick dunk right there.
Prime Minister. Well, Mr. Speaker, I thank the honourable member for the SNP, and I repeat the point that I've made earlier on. I don't think that he should preempt or anticipate the inquiry.
John Morrison.
Hey!
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
He was going, go. Oh my God, this is so good. I love this.
Runs through my constituency and the Prime Minister's. Would my right honourable friend join me in paying tribute to the volunteers who tirelessly work to preserve this precious green space? And will he work with me to create better protections for this park moving forward?
Prime Minister. I certainly will. I join her in thanking the wonderful volunteers, and I will do what I can to assist her in protecting this beautiful green space.
Ruth Kepley.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wait, is this just going to be Tory? Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On a different topic to that of my right honourable friend, the Leader of the Opposition, but a related one. Last week, at Prime Minister's Questions, the Prime Minister was asked about his previous claim about that his previous claims about inflation were unfounded, and in his reply, he told the House he had said no such thing. But within minutes, the inevitable happened, and people were watching videos on social media saying exactly that. So would the Prime Minister like to take this opportunity to correct the record and apologise for misleading the House on this matter?
That would be inadvertently misleading the House, Prime Minister.
No, Mr. Speaker, because I immediately said in my answer to the question that, of course, you had to be concerned about inflation at all times. What I said, I think on TV, was that some of the predictions then about inflation had not proved well-founded. But clearly, inflation is a serious risk. It is going up, and what we need is a strategy to tackle it, and that's what we have.
Richard Drax.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My constituency.
Someone just brought this up in chat. It looks like Boris Johnson will be available for Hippy Dippy soon. You need to do a meme where you get the Hippy Dippy thing and you've got Boris Johnson in one panel. That would be a good meme for the British viewers, mainly.
Grant Bailey went back to Afghanistan in September. He disappeared in December around Christmas time. We think the Taliban have him. Can my right honourable friend advise me and his family whether he knows anything about this man, who has him, and what is being done to get him home?
I thank my honourable friend and for raising the case with me, and I hope I will organise a meeting for him with the relevant minister as soon as possible to establish what we can do to help Grant.
Bill Turner.
He's not apologised, Mr. Speaker, for breaking the rules and breaking the law. He's sorry because he's been caught. He is bang to rights. So when my constituents were making unimaginable decisions, he was hosting a boozy party in Downing Street. So how does he think he can still maintain the one rule for him and another for the rest of us? He cannot, and he must resign.
It is just relentless. MP after MP after MP going, you've got to resign, you've got to resign, you've got to resign. Oh my God.
Mr. Speaker, I refer to the answer I gave earlier on.
Peter Bone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. This Friday, my private member's bill, BBC licence fee abolition, gets its second reading. It will abolish the BBC licence fee and require the BBC to be funded by subscription. In this day and age, it's ridiculous to have a state broadcaster. It's ridiculous that people are forced to pay a fee just because they have a television. And what is totally wrong, that people who believe the BBC to be institutionally biased have to subsidise them. Mr. Speaker, will the Prime Minister, if he's free on Friday, come along and support the bill?
Mr. Speaker, I have the highest respect for the media judgment of my honourable friend, and though I understand some of his strictures about the BBC, Mr. Speaker, I would also say that it is a great national institution. But I will study what he has to say with interest.
Toby Perkins. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We've all had Prime Ministers that we disagreed with or we didn't rate, but there's never been one that debased the office in the way that this.
Oh, debased!
He's now forced to lie down in the back of his car to keep away.
It's not based, it's debased. It's not based in cringe, it's based and debased. Yes, there we go. That's a new fucking meme. He has debased the office. The opposite of based, okay?
And photographers. We all know the Prime Minister was sacked from 2 previous jobs for lying. So can he explain to the House why he believes that the great office of Prime Minister can be held to a lower standard than those previous jobs that he was sacked from?
Prime Minister. Well, I welcome the point that the honourable gentleman makes. In the partisan spirit with which I think it was intended, I don't agree with him. But can I suggest to him respectfully that he waits until the inquiry is concluded, which I hope will be as soon as possible.
Alberto Costa.
Washing machine manufacturers are considering installing microfiber filter systems in all new washing machines. Will the Prime Minister ask his ministers? Will the Prime Minister ask his ministers?
Why is he asking about washing machines?
Ministers to look at.
We've got a slight problem. Some of you want to catch my eye. The longer this question takes, the less other people will get in. Alberto Costa.
People laughing at plastic pollution. Mr. Speaker. Will the Prime Minister ask his ministers to look into the viability of my bill, which has cross-party support and seeks to introduce inexpensive microplastic filters on...
Quick, Steve, ask a washing machine question. Boris is getting fucking bodied. Quick, ask about the washing machines before it's too late.
All new washing machines.
Well, I want to thank my honourable friend for his campaign. And I believe that we should tackle microplastic pollution, Mr. Speaker. And I'm glad that DEFRA are looking at the introduction of legislation for microfiber filters on washing machines as a cost-beneficial solution. And I will make sure that my right honourable friend, the Secretary of State for the Environment, will keep him informed of how we're doing.
Mr. Brenda Sharma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I too wish to join colleagues in paying tribute to Jack Dromey. I knew him first in the early 70s and worked with him on the Grunwick strike. He will be greatly missed. Mr. Speaker, thousands of men and women in Afghanistan supported the NATO mission, and they have been abandoned. In 6 months, we don't have a credible route to help people out of Afghanistan safely. The most recent update from the FCDO is directly contradicted by the UN. While the FCDO claims that from spring the UNHCR will make referrals to evacuation schemes, the UNHCR's own website is very clear they make no such referrals. Mr. Speaker, is the government creating a Kafkaesque system to intentionally fail those we owe something to, or is this yet another case of the amateurism and hopelessness that prioritized pen farthings pets over human beings?
Mr. Speaker, I believe he does a serious injustice to the efforts of local councils up and down the country to look after people coming from Afghanistan, and I think he does an injustice to the efforts of the UK. We are proud already under Operation Pitting to have evacuated 15,000 people from Afghanistan, Mr. Speaker, and we've allocated $286 million in aid, in assistance for people in Afghanistan, and we are continuing to offer safe passage to this country from Afghanistan.
Paul Holmes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister will be aware that Eastleigh was formed as a railway town, from producing locomotives and carriages to building gliders for the D-Day landings. Eastleigh has a proud railway heritage. Given this pedigree, the excellent transport links and the need to level up the south, does he agree with me that Eastleigh would make the perfect home for the new headquarters of Great British Railways?
Well, Mr. Speaker, my honourable friend is a great champion for Eastleigh, and as I told the House earlier, further details of the competition to identify the new Great British Railways headquarters will be announced in the coming weeks.
The Venture Minister.
Mr. Speaker, in my constituency of Stockport, the average rent for a two-bedroom property is an unaffordable £800. And recently, in the last 13 years, the rents have been significantly increasing. One constituent contacted me recently to explain that she and
it must be rough, like, if you just got like a regular business as usual question, and obviously this is the roast of Boris Johnson, and you've like, oh shit. But you kind of have to go ahead with it anyway, I guess, you know? But yeah. Because some of this stuff is actually quite important.
Husband, who are in their 70s and suffer from ill health, have just been served with a Section 21 notice after living in the property for almost 20 years. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister's own manifesto promised a better deal for renters, which included abolishing no-fault evictions. So when will he scrap this practice and reintroduce the much-needed Renters Reform Bill, which seems to have been kicked into the long grass?
Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, one of the first things I did when I became Prime Minister was to uprate local housing allowance so that people on social rent would be able to afford where they live more easily, is a key component of tackling the cost of living, Mr. Speaker. But what we're also doing is building record numbers of homes, Mr. Speaker, and I was very pleased to see a huge increase in the number of people able to get the homes that they need. But the point that he makes about renters is also very, very important. That's why we're tackling the rights of renters as well.
Jack Brereton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. 56 million through the Levelling Up Fund, 40 million through Transforming Cities. This is just some of the investment we've secured for Stoke-on-Trent recently. Would my right honourable friend agree, after decades of neglect, this Conservative Party is the only party that is levelling up opportunities in Stoke-on-Trent?
Shut up, you fucking dweeb.
Prime Minister.
Well, I thank my honourable friend. He is a fantastic champion for Stoke-on-Trent.
Shut up, you Tory dweeb. Sit down, or you're going to get fucking flushed down the toilet again.
And in addition to all the things that we are supporting in Stoke-on-Trent, I'm delighted to say that Stoke-on-Trent will become the home to the Home Office as well.
Dr. Philippa Whitford.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I think this session shows how much of a distraction the Prime Minister's behaviour has been. I want to ask him that after a recent survey showed 37% of small businesses felt totally unprepared for the introduction of import controls, rules of origin and the upcoming SPS checks. So will he listen to the FSB and introduce financial and technical support to those small businesses, or is he just too busy drinking in his garden?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I thank her, but what we are doing is offering financial and technical support to businesses, and they are responding magnificently. And as we come out of the pandemic, we are seeing, as I said to the House earlier on, record numbers of people in work and youth unemployment at a record low.
Alicia Cairns.
Speaker, the motto of England's smallest county, Rutland, is multum in parvo, much in little, and never has that been more true than the last 2 weeks. The greatest Roman discovery in 200 years, and ichthyosaur, the greatest fossil discovery in 100 years. So will he please support us to build a new tourism industry and 2 heritage museums in Rutland to preserve these amazing discoveries in our county?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm agog. I'm longing to come and see these extraordinary additions to the cultural heritage of Rutland, and I thank her for drawing it to my attention.
Quick! Ask, get fucking Barbs to ask the archaeology question. Boris's cheeks are getting clapped worse than we ever could have envisioned. Bring out the archaeology question, quick.
Attention, and I look forward to making a visit as soon as I can.
Ask about the dinos. Ask about the dinos, quick. Give us a couple of minutes off the fucking fire at least.
Speaker, the government's flagship Green Homes grant scheme collapsed in a £1.5 billion shambles at the end of last year, with just 81 vouchers issued in Cambridge and just 85 in the Prime Minister's constituency. With energy bills about to go through the roof, what is it about this government that makes it so peculiarly unable to run a basic loft-lagging scheme?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we are supporting...
so just so you know, when we finish this, I'm going to be talking to someone, an old Chud Logic viewer, long time Chud Logic viewer, about the recent decision about statues getting destroyed and the fact that the people were let off the hook, basically. We'll go into it. I'll read the story before we talk about it, but it should be good. It's going to be good memes. Maybe it'll turn into a panel, maybe it won't. We'll see, but it'll be a good chat nonetheless.
To retrofit homes up and down the country, and in addition, in order to improve the insulation, Mr. Speaker, but what we're also doing is supporting people with the costs of their fuel. We will continue to do that through the Warm Homes discount, the winter fuel allowance, and all the other payments that we make.
Paul Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
On Welsh free ports, can the Prime Minister confirm to me and my unsworn constituents that the UK government is committed to at least one free port in Wales, and can he give an update to the House as to how discussions are progressing with the Welsh government?
Prime Minister.
Well, I thank my honourable friend. I can tell her that my right honourable friend, the Secretary of State for Levelling Up, is indeed talking to his counterparts in the Welsh government about establishing a free port in Wales, and I urge our friends in the Welsh government to agree those plans as a matter of urgency.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The government commissioned NatSen to research the use of health and disability benefits, but has yet to publish the findings. Its own protocol for publication states social research must be released in a way that promotes public trust. The cost of living crisis is hitting disabled people hard at a time when many people were already struggling, and it's surely time to start rebuilding their trust. So will the Prime Minister commit today to publishing this research?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we'll do everything we can to support people throughout the recovery period from the pandemic. We will support disabled people, and we continue to increase our support for families up and down the country. And she requests that we publish the research. We will do so as soon as we can, Mr. Speaker.
Jenkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I thank my right honourable friend for his continued support for new nuclear? Following the passing of our landmark nuclear financing bill this week, will he put his weight behind my efforts and those of my Cumbrian colleagues to bring large and small new nuclear to Cumbria?
Prime Minister.
I thank my honourable friend, and he is quite right that one of the disasters of the Labour administration, the 13 years of Labour, was that they allowed a total collapse in our nuclear power, Mr. Speaker, I'm afraid, which is one of the reasons we have a shortage of energy, and that's why we're investing now in small modular reactors as well as the big projects.
Chris Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Oh no, nuclear energy. I actually think nuclear energy is pretty based.
So the Prime Minister didn't spot that he was at a social event.
Yes!
That's the excuse, isn't it? Come off it. I mean, how stupid does the Prime Minister think the British people are?
Oh!
The worst of it is, he's already managed to completely destroy Allegra Stratton's career. He's tarnished the reputation of Lord Geit. And now he's making fools of every single MP who cheered him earlier. Every single one who goes out on the radio and television to defend this shower of shenanigans. Would it not be absolutely despicable if, in the search for a scapegoat, some junior member of staff ends up losing their job, but he kept his?
Oh, that's a fucking banging play, because that could happen. Boris could offload it to some junior member of staff or some shit like that, and they go on the chopping block. Oh, this dude! Holy shit!
Well, I'm grateful as ever, Mr. Speaker, to the right honourable gentleman. I think a former member of the Conservative Party, as I understand it. But I'm grateful to him for
he's trying to throw shade.
His party political advice. I don't agree with him.
Did he just say stop smirking? I think he just said stop smirking. Did he just say stop smirking?
I'm grateful to him for his party political advice. I don't agree with him.
He said stop smirking. What a fucking giga chat.
Mr. Speaker, I've come to this House to make amends to explain what happened on May the 20th and to apologise. But Mr. Speaker, I really think that, with all humility, I must ask him to wait for the result of the inquiry, where he will have abundant opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to question me again and to make his party political points again. But until then, Mr. Speaker, I'm going to ignore his advice.
Jonathan Gullis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hundreds of respondents took part in the Stoke-on-Trent North Kidsgrove and Talk Bus Back Better survey, of which 80% said they would use the bus more if services were improved. The Conservative-led Stoke-on-Trent City Council has submitted a fantastic Bus Back Better bid for £90 million to improve our infrastructure and our services. So will the Prime Minister make our day in Stoke-on-Trent and announce that that money's coming soon?
I thank him for his fantastic championing of Stoke-on-Trent. I also thank him, Mr. Speaker, for volunteering to serve as a teacher during the pandemic. A wonderful thing to do, Mr. Speaker. And I will certainly look and see what we can do to satisfy his request for more buses in Stoke as fast as possible.
Final question, Ed Davey.
Mr. Speaker, can I join in the tributes to Jack Dromey, an outstanding trade unionist and member of this House? Mr. Speaker, after another shameful week for his government, this has been a shameful attempt to apologise to this House today. So can the Prime Minister explain why the only person to resign so far for this scandal is Allegra Stratton, a woman, while he, the man who sanctioned and attended at least one party in 10 Downing Street, still sits in his place? Mr. Speaker, advisers advise and ministers decide. So will the Prime Minister, for the good of the country,
accept that the party is over and decide to resign.
The party is over. God, these ducks are amazing.
Mr. Speaker, I thank him for his question. And I respect the point that he's making, but I must say I disagree, and I would ask him I would ask him to wait and see what the inquiry says, and I'll be very happy to talk to him then.
I'm going to let people leave before we start the urgent question.
There we go. Demolished. Boris just got fucking. It just got eviscerated. That was so much fun. Oh, that was good. Who enjoyed that? I really enjoyed that. That was good. Yeah, that was a particularly spicy Prime Minister's questions. They can sometimes be spicy like that. Quite often they're kind of not quite as, confrontational. It depends what's in the news that week. But yeah. I think what I'll do is I'll keep an eye on it, and if another story like this crops up, obviously I'll cover it. But this has been a lot of fun talking about this. Yeah, it was good. Good memes. In any case, there you go. Prime Minister's questions done. The story's over. Boris, who knows? I'll keep an eye on it, and I'll keep you updated, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if Boris ends up resigning or going, or what happens with it. But yeah, that's it.